Luc Besson is a mixed bag for me. While I think La Femme Nikita is great and Leon the Professional is outstanding, Lucy was an absolute disaster. His biggest film, well, maybe not his biggest, but probably the one that he's best known for, is The Fifth Element. I love the visual style and the pulp sci-fi feel of the film, but I could not stand Ruby Rhod. So the film's tough for me. The artistic style, direction, and everything else was great, but I just really hated that character. He just brought the whole thing down. And it's not that I don't like Chris Tucker, I think that he's really funny in Friday, but in the scope of that movie, he's one of the main characters, and he's funny. And in The Fifth Element, he just shows up and he just does not leave. When I first saw the trailer for Valerian, it's easy to draw parallels between The Fifth Element. It does have that big, bold, bright use of colors, the super huge scale, and the general busyness that made The Fifth Element feel like a living, breathing world. I was hoping for it to be like The Fifth Element, just minus any annoyingly overused characters like Ruby Rhod. And for the most part, it was, but then it had a lot of other problems. The movie was based off the comic of the same name, and was set to be the start of this whole new series, a return to the huge sweeping space opera films, a universe besides Star Wars and Star Trek. The film started off pretty solid. David Bowie's Space Oddities playing while they showed the formation of the City of a Thousand Planets. There was a great montage of humans meeting dozens of different alien species, many of which were really unique. Hundreds of years after that is when the story takes place. Our main characters, Major Valerian and Sergeant Laureline, work together but are also a couple. Valerian's beginning these visions, which leads them to investigate a growing problem within the City of a Thousand Planets. This one was rough. For every unique thing about it, it was overshadowed by the numerous cliches and downright atrocious writing. When Valerian and Laureline are introduced, they're having the most tedious argument about their relationship. She wants someone she can settle down with, but he, in his own words, is the bad boy. I get what they were going for, but it was handled terribly. We get treated to such award-winning lines as, "I'm a soldier, I play by the rules. That's why I'll never marry you. You don't know what love is." Really? Remember that scene in Attack of the Clones where Anakin is talking about his love with Padme? It's like that, only for an entire film. You had all these incredible visuals and some outstanding action sequences, but the wheels fell off whenever anyone had to talk for 2 minutes. Alright, there were some things about the film that I liked. As I said, the visuals were impressive. On top of looking good, they were overwhelmingly creative. The different sections of the city, as well as the different types of inhabitants, showed that the creative team was really putting in overtime. On numerous occasions, it did feel like you were watching something that you hadn't seen before. The action was inventive, with one in particular where Valerian is shifting through dimensions to try to retrieve a stolen item. There were some good casting choices. Clive Owen was great as the commander. John Goodman had a small part as a pirate, and as always, was spot on. Rutger Hauer had a cameo. Cara Delevingne, I'm probably saying that wrong. She was much better in this than she's been in some other films I've seen her. Ethan Hawke had a small part and was acting rings around the main cast. That brings me to the bad. The script was definitely the biggest problem here. 90% of the time when Valerian and Laureline are talking, they're arguing, and it's just inane, unfunny banter. Although the writer-director thought it was funny, because there's a few times where after a key line is delivered, there's a beat so the audience can laugh. Each time it got a 0. There were also a few one-liners that just failed. The film was good-looking, but it did get to a point of style over substance. There were a few scenes that just went on way longer than they needed to. That brings me to the length. At 2 hours and 20 minutes, it felt like it. Logan was the exact same length, but it felt way shorter. This was an absolute chore to get through. On top of little things here and there that could have cut to help keep the flow and pacing, there were moments that dragged the production to a complete halt. The biggest one was a dance routine by Rihanna. Valerian is trying to rescue his girlfriend, but he has to stop in a brothel to watch Rihanna dance for several minutes. Besson did something similar in The Fifth Element with the singer, but intercut it with the Lilu fight sequence, so it stayed engaging. With this, it was just Rihanna dancing. Cool and admittedly well choreographed, but in a 2-hour-plus movie, was way too self-indulgent and did nothing to press the severity of Laureline's situation. To be fair though, I did like her part. I thought she was going to be in it just for the cameo, but she was there for a little bit longer than that. Honestly, I would have enjoyed a little bit more of her character, but oh well. I thought Dane DeHaan as Valerian was insufferable. The entire movie is talking like this.
I only work with my partner.
Hi.
We're a team.
For this super badass hotshot that's supposed to be likable, he came across as a giant walking douchebag. They did have 3 recurring alien characters that were supposed to be funny, but were the polar opposite. Thankfully, they only showed up for a few scenes before going away forever. Valerian, I really wanted to like this, but even with the gorgeous visuals and exciting action sequences, I couldn't stop feeling bored. For all the oddities crammed into the film, the core story was nothing new. I can't believe this was written by the same guy who wrote Leon. This was apparently the most expensive independent film ever, costing $209 million. While I will say that you can see all that money up on the screen, you aren't hearing it whenever someone speaks. In general, I'm just more disappointed by the whole thing. This was just tons of wasted potential. And for me, usually that's worse than something just being bad.